Preference skills have taken over the Savior meta. Let's talk about how these new ones compare to some old favorites. We'll talk about where I think the Savior meta is going, how I rank these, and who I would make a merge project if I could. But let me know down in the comments, do you think we will continue to get these ridiculously powerful preference skills? All right, Summoners, we're gonna jump right in. I want to address something though. The statement, you can take any Savior and use it in Aether Raids right now, is just not true. And the fact is, we are getting more and more powerful nukes. Think about it just in the past year with Crom, and even looking at Byleth, just because his merges have become so high because he was on Hero Rises. What I will say is the elite of the Far Saviors do make things fairly easy. This is, of course, in Anima Astra season here. Things head over, and these are two very powerful nukes. You have been buffed to high heaven here. Naga, go away. We're not here to watch you. And here we go with Crom. 74 is a lot, but you can see we had Elimine there to help us. Even if he had Deadeye, though, he was not hitting through that Aegis. It was definitely not happening. Duma is a powerhouse. Now, I will say, I meant to do this a couple days ago with no bonus stats. These results don't change for Duma, though. You can see how well he does. We're gonna get into what happens when we turn Catria off, but I just wanted to run through this demonstration and show you exactly how powerful these new units are. Now, one of the things I did, I went through and essentially tried out a huge range of saviors, and I wanted to see if, say, a Forma unit could do exactly what these units were doing. And I have to say that is not the case at all. I tried Rudolph. Oh, you guys are gonna love this. This is like Rearmed Robin has made things ridiculously easy. In the speed meta, she just fits so well. Back to Rudolph though. I gotta tell you, he got stomped. I have seen some highly invested off-meta units do well in Aether Raids. For the most part, though, we are reaching that point where saviors have become rather stale. We'll see if that continues with all of the additional weapons we're getting, all of the arcane weapons. But yeah, yes, Naga, we know you do well. Next up, I've put Fjorm in here. I know how much you all love Fjorm and talk about how she cannot compete at a high level. The thing about Aether Raids is you are taking a unit's weakness and covering it up. So you're paying attention to units that have something special, and all of these saviors that I've chosen have had that 99. Good lord. Taken down to 35 is pretty ridiculous because that was going to be a lot more. Now, again, Elimine was there. Elimine is an absolute game changer. But this is not a plug and play deal. Looking at it that way would be minimizing what these new saviors have brought in the power level. This is our last one. You guys know how this is gonna go. You all love Idunn. She is, can you believe how old she is? Like, she's still going strong. Can you believe me saying a unit that's not even a year old is old? Ageism in Fire Emblem Heroes is real. The thing you're gonna see with a lot of these heroes is they don't double unless their name is Rearmed Robin. And so they really need that kill on the second hit. You guys have seen how this works and how things hang around. Obviously I did a very poor job buffing up her speed. She survived that, but but this is what we're seeing. Vector has been around for so long that they have continued to provide counters for her, and we're starting to have it come into place where Well, isn't this embarrassing? The thing you've got to do with Idunn is you have to speed stack her, which is possible in Aether Raids. Very, very possible. I'm sorry, Idunn, you did not make that one. What I want to do now, though, is go from Aether Raids where we've got some very obvious things happening and some not so obvious. I mean, I really thought Idunn was going to make it through that, and she did not. But I want to go and look at these new units in solo matchups. The first one we're going to show off here is the Hardy Fighter, and I want to leave Elimine off to the side. I want to talk about her in a bit. I'm not going to show too much of Yuri here until we get to Catria balls. The reason is, and I keep hearing that Yuri's a bad unit, and that is just not true. The fact of the matter is, Yuri is so powerful that we needed an entire skill to stop him in Hardy Fighter. And make no mistake about it, that is what Hardy Fighter did. It made lethality palatable. Let's see her against someone like Byleth here. Keep in mind, Byleth, oof. Yeah, didn't make it. Oh, did. Whew. You notice I don't have any counter inhibitors. The thing with Fjorm is you have to survive the first hit and double, and you have a very good chance of taking her out. We're gonna see that with Catria balls here. If you could do that though, she is very easy to deal with. She is a similar unit, and I've said this a couple times, but she's a similar unit to Rearmed Robin in that way. Let's talk about a unit we know and love in Crom. And you guys know how this works, right? But again, this is pinpointing. This is a weakness this unit has. And if you can cover it up, then she has a lot to give. That counter disrupt is just amazing. Or that null counter disrupt, rather. It is really, really good. And we're going to get into that more, though. But these units all have unit things that they pair really well with. Here's another unit. This Deirdre, you're going to see her hit really hard throughout this entire thing. It's phenomenal. But if Fjorm can outspeed, she's gonna do fantastic. Another thing that really hurts Fjorm is any kind of impact skills, and we've seen that before. Keep in mind, a lot of what I'm showing you here is different archetypes. The units themselves are all good and meta standouts in their own right. But the thing that we're seeing, area of effect weapons just take Fjorm and dumpster her. Did you need me to tell you any of this? We've had an entire year of playing with Fjorm. Fjorm, we've seen her in Aether Raids. She does very well because you can take her weaknesses and cover them up. In 1v1 matchups, which are more akin to what you are going to see if you do Aether Raids defense or if you do summoner duels, you can see that it's harder to cover those up, and she stands on her own. Let's look at a different unit though. Let's start with this one because I thought this was a very interesting thing. This is a +0 Sonya. I'll actually take over and look at this. This is 38 damage coming at her. And she lives with 1. Stupid bunnies. It's interesting there that Sonya outspeeds her as well. She is definitely weak to AoEs, but not quite as weak as people are making it out to be. All of these units to a certain extent are going to be weak versus area of effect weapons. Yes, there is some higher res in a lot of the others. This unit still performs very, very well. This is like Dragon's Bane right here, and especially just the amount that's in her kit where she denies adaptive damage is absolutely insane, but she can't double Robin here. And that's problematic. If you don't double Robin, you don't win. This is Sublime Heaven coming at you right here. And I mean, the interesting thing here is, yeah, you notice the speed. The true damage that comes from her arcane weapon really comes in clutch. It's very, very nice. But against these units that have miracle builds, if you can outspeed her, it is just going to be absolutely lights out. You guys know what happens with Yuri. But it's worth noting that as soon as you've got no follow-up on him. As soon as you put some sort of wind sweep or water sweep on him, and I would prefer water sweep, by the way, suddenly the doors open for you, and this unit starts performing very well. We'll get into what that looks like here in just a second. But I mean, it's interesting. This shows you how much the speed meta has progressed when a unit with this much speed just doesn't quite get it done. Like, that's 54, you get 5 from the weapon, you get 8 from the A skill. It's a lot. This is just fascinating to me. Keep in mind, if this unit doesn't take out Duma here, so if he has wind sweep, then that lethality is hitting on the second hit, and Duma's in trouble. The neat thing about Duma is that C skill also takes 7 HP off the opponent, and that really helps you one-shot these units. In this way, this is an upgraded Fallen Rhea. Fallen Rhea is a lot of the same way. She really needs to take the unit out on that first hit. We'll get through this and we'll talk about some more interesting things, but first we have to see Byleth, who is the wrong color. But yeah, Byleth in particular with the sweep skill is just excellent because of that null follow-up. And we're going to see more and more of that. We're going to skip Yuri because we've seen him a couple times now. We want to look at just how this Byleth does. Yeah, that's a lot. This is what I'm talking about with blues and the danger of them. It gets tough. It's why we're seeing these alternate colors come along, and it's a hard thing for defenses to accommodate. There was a day when as long as you could counter Brave Hector, then you were done. I mean, that was definitely not an easy thing, but you knew exactly what you were going to face every single time. And we're going to go over this matchup just because it's so important, and it really bears looking at. But Chrom is just a prolific unit. He is everywhere. And if he doesn't exist, Idunn is an S tier. Isn't at all. Like, it just doesn't happen. That's how influential the unit has been. Let's look at this one here. And this is interesting. If Deirdre could get more speed, and maybe the thing is to speed stack Deirdre here, because if she hits twice, this is kind of game over. As is. Yeah. The thing is, we're doing 0 damage. That is absolutely nutty. The last matchup we're going to look at here is Sonya. And this is an interesting one just because I thought this was going to go a little better. But we're seeing again, if Sonya can't take the unit all the way down, then Aegis just takes over and yeah, she just can't get it. It's interesting. But anyway, so we've seen 1v1 matchups. And all of these units honestly do fairly well. Let's look at a quick summary of what that looks like just on the board. You're seeing a slipping and kind of a falling of the guard. Most of the time you're not going to be looking at the AR matchups just because there are ways that you can buff up units. But it's important to notice that that defense was not particularly creative. You guys have seen this defense a million times. This is standard Catria ball that was Elimine, and 2 powerful nukes were able to swoop in and just completely wipe Idunn from the map. They were able to get close to the other 2. When we look at the 1v1 matchups and weaknesses, it is clear Idunn is very weak to Legendary Byleth and Sublime Heaven, but you're gonna see that unit a lot. These units have all become very pervasive. The really interesting matchup here is obviously Robin. And summoners, if If you need to understand why this unit has taken over that top spot, here it is. All of these units have something special to offer though, especially when you look at Duma and the different things he can do. Just remember that when you're looking at how they age, for Rearmed Robin, you're looking at a better Fjorm, but still, that is the path that you have there. For Duma, you're looking at a Fallen Rhea, albeit a better one, but still, same path. Let's move on to something a little different here, and I want to talk about Catria Matchups. I'm going to spare you just a whole lot of Fjorm matchups here. You saw her struggle earlier. You're going to see her struggle some more. We talked a bit about miracle builds and how much trouble they give her. And I mean, if this unit could quad, you would see that happen again. I'll save you the trouble though. She really does lose to all of these units. Actually, Robin in general is just a fascinating unit. But yeah, so you can see Deadeye's gonna hit on the second hit. That's gonna be problematic, right? Most of these are timed fairly well. This is about worst case scenario. Yeah, and Robin just can't take that one. I think you guys know how this goes. This is effective damage and Catria balls, right? That's the thing that I've chosen all of these for. They all have some sort of either effective or leg up on the opponents. She takes one, but it's gotta be more than that. Ugh. Yeah, that was ugly. I have been told that the biggest weakness of Rearmed Robin is the fact that since you need to have that seal slot as distant counter, it really limits your flexibility of build, and you can't have a deflect seal, which are just so critical. That being said, survived Byleth just fine. All right, next unit is obviously Duma. And up first, we'll put an easy one. He needs a layup, right? 0 times 4. With Sublime Heaven, I think that stays at 0, right? Well, it definitely does with Aegis. Oh, that's gonna, yeah. And then, of course, the nice thing is, ouch, that one hurt. That took off more than I thought it would. I think you know how this one goes. We should try it, right? Oh, summoners. These poor units, I've spent days setting this up. And just to see them get demolished is just sad. Poor guys. Yeah, this isn't gonna go well. Aegis hits first, that's good, right? No. And that's without Deadeye. I'll spare you, Deirdre. It doesn't go well. I do want to look at Yuri because this is a key matchup. This is a huge deal. And I talked about this in the Volk episode. But the fact that Duma disrupts specials is a huge, huge deal. So you're trading off worrying about getting damaged by specials for being having 2 different types of effective damage against you, which is not a small thing. Like, that's a big deal. But also not having to worry about lethality and Deadeye is a huge deal. But this again is just Ithun's claim to fame. Like, this is a huge, huge deal right here. Not having to worry about, it's still gonna hit hard, right? Yeah. Not having to worry about Crom. That's a +10 Crom right there. Even in a Catria ball is just a big deal. In any mode. Like, knowing that you have taken a unit that you will see and you've relegated them to nothingness is huge. Next up, I want to show this Deirdre matchup. And the thing is, summoners, I keep on pounding the table for this unit. but she's really, really good. I can't say it enough. Like, this unit hits like a truck and is so anti-meta right now. It's ridiculous. Yeah, coming at you again. She has the Miracle, which is in sync with everything we're seeing right now. She's effective against a lot of the tanks that we're seeing. She's the right color. Like, this is an excellent unit. Has she been through enough? Do we need to show the Byleth matchup? I think we do. Oh, 32 times 4. Like, that's just sad. You're gonna see this in a lot of these units though. You remember when Idunn hit like a truck, and now suddenly we're looking at her and that damage isn't enough. That's crazy seeing how that power creep works. Seriously, just absolutely nutty. All right, Summoners, there's one more thing that I want to do, and I want to go back to this Catria ball, and I want to look at what happens when we take out the Elimine factor. We'll still provide the damage reduction because that is a huge part of what she does, but I just want to go back and look at each of these units. So this would be closer to what you would see in Light Season and how that would work.
Leave it to me.
Close your eyes. What fun. What is your desire? Leave it to me.
Now I want you to remember that everyone but Idunn, and I don't know that it's fair because I put her direct counter on there. Well, no, that's not true. All of these units have a direct counter. Everyone but Idunn handled this really well without Catria. Now, this is a little unfair. I can tell you for a fact that that result changes when he doesn't have bonus stats. I wanted you to see it and see how much that took off. But just know, Duma gets clocked. I was surprised too. But yeah, he just doesn't make it versus this defense. And you can see he's down to 12 there. If you take off all that HP, defense, and res, it doesn't quite make it. I did want you to see how low it got though. Would you quit picking on Naga? Did I mention Naga's a good unit? This is really a Naga showcase. You guys didn't realize it. Do we need to watch how this does with Fjorm? Maybe we're just Fjorm haters here, and we're just putting her out in front of all of these units to show exactly what happens to old units. They get punished. Oh, hitting twice by Crom at 99. This isn't gonna go well. Oh, okay. I mean, Naga's good, but she's not that good. She's not gonna tank an effective damage Crom. All right, we've talked about speed meta and how that is a thing that is just coming down on us like a ton of bricks. This is the unit that is built for speed. And folks will ask me why I put this unit as a far savior instead of a near savior, and you're about to see it. Like, this is crazy. So Byleth comes in, and keep in mind Sublime Heaven has essentially effective damage against dragons in general. I believe it bumps damage by 40%. Yeah. Down to 27. That's a lot. We have the healing in the weapon, which is already good. God, that animation is great. I love that. Now, how will Crom do? Luckily, we don't have effective damage, and yeah, Summoners. Look at that! Look at that result! This is why I'm so high on this unit. Naga, you're very good. Okay, I mean, we do have to watch this, right? I didn't realize we were showcasing on this side, too. And effective damage with Moonbow. Does she do it? Naga's a great unit, what can I say? Gotta love Naga. There's some things we can look at as far as Catria balls go. It is a huge thing to look at that Aether Raids result. As far as Aether Raids goes, it is hands down Robin's world and we're just living in it. Like, she just absolutely owns this game right now. Or this game mode, rather. It is nuts. Everyone loses to Deirdre. Everyone. Summoners, it's a really good unit. She is amazing. Only one unit survives Crom. Only one unit survives Yuri. And 2 units survive Byleth. So you're seeing here already the difference in the age of the units. I mean, Fjorm is just so outclassed, it's ridiculous, and she's a year old. Idunn is, what are we at, like 9 months? Somewhere in there? And we're already seeing chinks in the armor there. We get to Duma and we get to Rearmed Robin. And I mean, these results speak for themselves, Summoners. It's at this point that I do want to mention a unit that I don't have that would be very, very good here. And that is Canigus. Canigus is amazing, and I think you guys have already seen what he can do. If we're looking back at the matchups that are just solo matchups, he wins all of those. Now, if we're looking at the Catria Ball matchups, I'm actually not sure. It would be interesting to run him through this. I imagine that he would be at least on par with Rearmed Robin and Duma here. The thing about Canigus is you have to build a team around him. And the people who have been building beast teams for a long time now are celebrating because it is like the meta ran into them. But know that I do give a knock there because you lose some adaptability. And I put a very high premium on adaptability. So I want to go back and just talk about synergy just a little bit. And I want to look at some of these units that struggle. And in particular here, we're going to talk about Elimine and Fjorm. And this is just a match made in heaven. The thing about Fjorm is you've got to keep specials from happening. The added damage reduction is nice, but this is a huge difference to see Fjorm paired up with this brand spanking new unit. So no Deadeye there. We get Ting, and then she gets the kill. That's nuts. That is a huge deal. This is why I say that despite what other folks are saying, that Fjorm is still very, very good with the right support. The thing is, the right support comes easily in modes like Aether Raids, but she's an Aether Raids unit. Like, she's not made for ARD, she's not made for Summoner Duels, she is an Aether Raids offense unit through and through. Yeah, I mean, you can see this, the extra damage from Ice Mirror, this is suddenly no problem. You can go through most of these and come up with that same thing. Like, Fjorm wins so many more matchups. The next one I want to talk about is something, well, essentially guard. And I'm going to use this fancy unit here because, you know, we're feeling fancy today. Plus, I mean, I got to represent for Ike. You know, it's Oblivion's favorite unit, and he doesn't get enough love. So here we go. Guard happens, and this absolutely changes this matchup. I mean, you saw before, Yuri came in and just smacked this unit. Yeah. That is not a lot of damage. Like, that is seriously just absolutely changes things. Now, we do have skills like Tempo that affect that a bit. I've also got Tempo on my Byleth, although that probably isn't fair, and I should have put put something that was easier to deal with there. All right, this is a big question here. I actually hadn't looked at this, and I had seen this unit just standing here. I wanted to see Crom, no Deadeye, but with Bridal Catria support. I think Rearmed Robin wins this easily. Like, this should be cake. What I want to mention here, though, is that guard is not something that just exists for Ike users. Ooh, that was close, but she made it. I mean, that's a plus 10 duo Crom, and she made it through. Guard is something that's just, it's absolutely huge when you're going up against Catria teams. It's particularly huge when you're talking about Robin. She cannot take that second hit, and if it's got a special attached to it, then it's just a nightmare. But there are other ways to get Guard on there. If you think of also the pulse ties, they can have somewhat of a similar effect. Actually, what I'm thinking of is Loki. And my OG Loki has Guard that she just spits out for free, area of effect. And then I've also got a pulse tie on her. So the combination of those two can really help out units like Robin. I don't know if I'd ever bring in Thor to something like Aether Raids Defense or Summoner Duels, but there are other ways to be able to get Guard on units. There's definitely area of effect healing staffs that do that, for instance. There's one in particular that I cannot remember the name, but you guys get the point. These kind of supports can help you with a lot of things. So there's another synergy that I want to talk about, and this is Sonya and Duma. Now remember, they share a game, so this is, well, that means you can get that 2 extra cooldown on, there you go, on Duma, and you've got Miracle proc, and you can have some absolutely amazing things happen, as you're going to see right here. That's huge. Now, that really only takes effect if you're looking at Summoner Duels, but it's something worth strategizing around. Like, it is a really handy thing to have. All right, Summoners, there's just one more thing I wanted to talk about here, and it was interesting. If you saw this earlier, you noticed that Chrom actually outsped Idunn, and that is, it's always a bad thing when a Chrom is outspeeding you. One of the things you can do, and the reason I prefer Idunn in Light Season is because she pairs so well with a unit like Peony. You already know how this matchup's going to go because you've seen it, but there is a huge difference in the speed here. This unit is getting, 35 plus a 3/6 buff from you, 41, 48, yeah, and effectively 53, which is respectable. That is a respectable speed. In this day and age, it's not insane. I'll give you that. But the fact that she's now back to doubling is a huge deal for not really just Chrom, but for a lot of other medium speed units that she can just outdo. So units like Peony are so good with speed stacking. I want to talk a little bit about Far Saviors in general, and the fact that what we are seeing now is a separation. We're no longer seeing a smooth set of tiers where it is a gradual thing from E tier all the way to S. We're seeing these preference weapons separate out units that are just absolutely phenomenal. What this means for your investment, and if I'm sitting here and telling you which unit to invest in, it's none of them. I know, big surprise. Here's the thing though, you're already, look at the range of units that I'm seeing here. I mean, this is, Idunn is in that 6 to 9 month range, Fjorm is in that year range. They're still usable at +1. If you had +10 to these units, you wouldn't be very happy about that. There are a couple other things to consider, and that is, for one, Duma is usable in more modes because he scores so well. Robin does as well, but the duo clause really puts Duma over the top. And that's, whatever you look for a score bot, you want something at the very tip top, because that means they're going to age slower. Or rather, at the same rate, but they had further to go. The thing about Rearmed Robin, and the reason you may want to invest in her, because really these are the two units that you'd look at investing in. The thing is, the fact that she is a repository for armor skills is not a small thing. It is, I really underestimated how amazing it would be. So right now, if I had an extra copy of Grima, I could have Hardy Fighter and far save on an armor that came in. So a new armor comes in, absolutely blows these out of the water. I have all the skills I need right here. That's incredible. Like, I cannot make that any more emphatic. Like, that is a big deal. And you get these other things like Distance Defense 4 is in there. I'll probably put a stance at some point. Again, though, that's if you plus 10'd her for having just fodder laying around, I couldn't fault you. I will say that summoning for fodder is usually not the best of things, but dang, guys, that is tempting. That's not just summoning for fodder. That's summoning for a fodder repository. And she's a good unit on top of it. So you have those two conflicting things there. Again, I really believe, like, if you want to use these as far saviors, +1 and then you stop. I have been served very well by that in the far savior category. There's never been one that I've looked back and said, man, I should have +10'd them. And I have been addicted to far saviors this past year. So, but yeah, these units, if they're your favorites, by all means, go there for and conquer. But if you are looking at being competitive and using your orbs in an efficient fashion, then these are not your units to +10. They move too quickly. So one more thing, and that's rankings. And I've clearly got Rearmed Grima as the number 1 unit here. The number 2 unit kind of depends on what you want to do with your game. If you are a Summoner Duels fanatic, then you're probably summoning for Duma. Anything else, and I've still got Idunn ahead of him. That being said, Kanagas is the same performance level as Robin. And if you've got a beast team, that means that he is absolutely phenomenal and is a unit that you should have and be using, and honestly performs better than Duma and Idunn. There's additional things to consider with Duma's duo skill, which is so much better than I thought. I've been playing with it and it really is incredible. But just understand that. Like, that is, Kanagas is up here. I don't have him, so he didn't get run through the gamut, but he is definitely an excellent unit. If you'd like to see more on my thought processes and how I start these, like, this is kind of the ending. What I always start with is sims, and the first the tier list that had all the simulations for this was my original far save tier list, and I still think it has a lot of relevant information. If you want to go back, you can easily apply that to the newer units. It actually has all of the inputs to Arctic Silver Fox's simulator. Go back, check that out. Summoners, take care. Schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.